Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving deep into some of the biggest questions out there about the universe's origins.
That's right. We usually talk about the Big Bang, right? This single event that kicked everything off for our observable universe.
Exactly, the story most of us know. A one-time thing.
Yep.
But, well, the sources we're looking at today, they challenge that pretty fundamentally. They explore some, let's say, different cosmological ideas.
Yeah, fascinating alternatives. So our mission today really is to explore these other theories. We're talking about universes maybe cycling or maybe universes that have, well, always been here.
It sounds mind-bending already.
It is. And we want to help you understand what these different cosmic stories might actually imply about, everything.
Okay, so before we jump into the alternatives, let's just quickly baseline. The standard Big Bang model. What's the key thing to remember?
Right. So the standard theory describes how our observable universe began incredibly hot, incredibly dense, and how it evolved to what we see now.
Expanding, cooling down.
Exactly. But critically, this standard model, as we understand it for our universe, doesn't suggest it's cyclical. It describes our universe's specific history with a definite beginning point.
Got it. One specific story. So if that's not the only possibility on the table, what's a major contender? You mentioned cyclic models.
Yes, the Big Bounce is a really interesting one. It's part of that cyclic universe family of ideas.
Big bounce. Okay, how does that work?
Well, the basic idea is that the expansion we see now won't go on forever. It eventually stops, reverses.
And collapses back in on itself.
Right, into what we call a big crunch. Super compressed again. But here's the twist. It doesn't just end there.
Oh, okay.
The idea is it then sort of rebounds. It bounces back, triggering a new Big Bang, starting a whole new cycle of expansion and evolution.
So like a cosmic reset button, constantly pushing it.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And the implication, if you follow that thought, is potentially, well, an infinite series of universes.
It's infinite universes, each one born from the ashes of the last one.
That's the mind-bending part. It challenges the whole idea of a single start time. Maybe entropy isn't the end, but just part of the cycle. Like cosmic recycling on a scale that's hard to even imagine.
Wow. Okay. That's one major alternative. But then there's something completely different mentioned, the quasi-steady state theory.
Yes, that's a very different perspective. The quasi-steady state model throws out the idea of a singular beginning or cycles.
No beginning, no end.
Essentially, yes. It proposes the universe has just always existed eternally, and that overall it hasn't changed that much over time.
But the universe is expanding, right? How does that fit in?
Good question. To account for the expansion and keep things steady state overall, it proposed a continuous, though very slow, creation of new matter. Just enough to sort of fill the gaps as things expand, maintaining a roughly constant density.
So no big dramatic start, just ongoing existence.
Exactly. A timeless cosmos.
Right. So it feels important here to clarify something. When we talk about our current understanding of the Big Bang, the one that describes our universe, that model doesn't predict another Big Bang within our current universe, does it? Not like the first one.
No, precisely. That's a crucial distinction. Our universe is expanding, evolving, sure. And scientists theorize about potential futures, maybe a big rip where everything tears apart, or a slow heat death where everything cools down.
But those aren't a Big Bang repeat.
Correct. There are different potential end states or continuation states, not a rebirth in the same way the Big Bounce suggests, or another start like the original Big Bang.
It really makes you think differently about time itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. These models force us to question our basic assumptions about beginnings, endings, and just duration on a cosmic scale. It pushes way beyond our everyday experience of time.
So to recap the journey we've taken you on, we started with the familiar idea, the one-time Big Bang for our universe.
Right.
Then we explored these really different paths. The Big Bounce, suggesting potentially endless cycles of cosmic birth, death, and rebirth.
The infinite accordion.
And the quasi-steady state, painting a picture of a universe that has simply always been here, with no beginning or end in sight.
Yeah, quite the contrast. And maybe thinking about these vast, almost philosophical ideas can expand how you personally see the universe. Its past, its present, maybe its future.
It definitely broadens the horizons.
It leaves us with a pretty profound question, really. If our universe isn't a one-off event, if it's just one chapter in a potentially infinite book, or if it's a story with no first page at all, what does that actually mean?
What does it mean for our place in it all, our sense of significance?
Exactly. How does it change how we perceive beginnings and endings and, our own brief moment within this immense cosmic tapestry? Something to ponder.